The brand name Napster has a storied history. Today, it's used by an innovation company previously known as Infinite Reality, based in Florida, I believe, that has new AI products arriving. And with us is Chief Technology Officer Edo Segal. Hi, Edo.
Hello, Fred. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start first with a little background about you, because you're recently with this company and how this has all come together. It's through some acquisitions.
Correct. TouchCast was acquired several months ago for $500 million by the Napster Corporation. It is its biggest acquisition so far, and it marks meaningful point in the storied legacy of this company and brand to really embrace the era of AI and democratize access to AI for everyone. Not dissimilar to what Napster's role was in its earliest incarnation, where it really played a role of being on the side of the user and democratizing something that was kind of monopolized by really big companies. We are in this amazing position to give access to the world's most advanced AI capabilities to a very broad audience of users.
So tell us about what it is that you are doing. There are a couple of new products, I think.
Correct. I'll start maybe by just sharing a couple minutes about how I got to where I am personally. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. So as a child growing up in New York and Queens, I remember discovering Eliza. Eliza was the first chatbot, and I remember myself sitting at home reading the source code in BASIC in this book that I got from the library, and completely cracking up because it was so funny to me that this chatbot was responding with questions to any question it was asked. And my mom was looking at the page over my shoulder, and she thought something is wrong with her child because this is what it looked like. So she's seeing me reading source code and cracking up. But that event led to a very meaningful part of my life, which is getting my first personal computer that has put me on this journey, really for my entire career of trying to formulate how to have AI be part of our lives in a more meaningful way. So what we're doing back then was looking like this. So this is that first example of the chatbot. This is literally 40 years old. And today, if you look at the cutting edge of how people interact with AI, it actually looks like this, which is, as you can appreciate, not very different from what we had 40 years ago. So we really think that we can do better. Like the idea of how AI plays a role in our lives needs to flow through an experience that's much more human. And that's what we're busy building at Napster with Companion that we just announced and the View device that supports it. We're really hoping to bring multimodal AI, meaning an AI that really is embodied like a person in supporting you in different ways. So rather than having this one idea of an AI that's like a Siri or Alexa, we have an endless universe of agents that are embodied in personalities. So this future that we're looking at is actually much more compelling than the past that literally has persisted until today. So if you go to Napster Companion, you can go and meet with Eliza again as though she is a real person that's embodied. And that changes the whole interaction model. So let's see.
Hello there. It's great to connect with you. What would you like to talk about today?
Yeah, actually, I'm showing our capability to some amazing journalists, such as Fred here. I am a bit worried that something might go wrong in a demo, like the audio or something like that. So it's a bit nervous.
Feeling nervous with a big audience like that is completely understandable. Let's breathe together for a moment. If something doesn't go as planned, just stay calm and address it with the audience. They're likely to be supportive.
Yeah, I think Fred, you're the type of audience that would be supportive seeing a tech demo, I assume. So we've created this incredible universe, a latent space, to use a technical term from AI, of all possible personas. And we've borrowed from a legacy of 50 years of research in this organizational psychology realm for psychometric parameters. So there's things like the big five, the different traits of individuals. And we've created a system that allows us to really simulate agents that behave accordingly by virtue of having over 30 parameters that define their personalities. And what you saw with Eliza briefly a second ago is a great illustration of that. When you talk to Eliza, she's very empathic. She really is a good therapist. And by the way, when you come back for the next session, She'll remember the prior session. And all of this is for 19.99 a month. So in the same way that you can have a therapist that's supporting you, you can have a plethora of other support systems from almost imagine you have like LinkedIn and you can go to any person and they'll spend as much time with you as you want, helping you solve any problem. And that's the world of Napster Companion, which really allows us to deliver this amazing value to customers, which was not possible, I would say, even a few months ago. Do you have any questions about that?
Well, I understand you can get written summaries after your conversations. For instance, if you were asking for a recipe, it's right there written out for you at the end of the
Yeah.
conversation, or whatever instructions you would want. And new agents can be created on the fly. Tell me how in the world you do that.
So if you were to go to Napster and you would simply type in a question, for example, I mean, you mentioned that you have a podcast about autonomous vehicles. So let's ask a question that was maybe came up in your last episode. Can you give me a question to ask?
Well, we can say, how safe are driverless vehicles compared with those driven by humans?
So when I hit enter, it will effectively find related experts in the field that already exist in that massive space that you saw. And it will also effectively create content on the fly that it doesn't exist. So for example, if those experts don't exist, it will actually create them on the fly. So these companions, there's a universe that exists, but also imagine if you were to go to, let's say, YouTube and ask that question, you might find a video that was created that targeted that specific question you have. But in the world that we're enabling, this era of AI publishing, you'll basically be in a place where that content is created on the fly for you. So as you can see here, different folks have been, this content is being created, and you have other experts. So this future state of the internet, you need to think of AI as a medium where content is now alive. It's no longer static. If I click on this, we will start seeing this content, but at any point, I can ask her a question and she'll stop and answer the question. And think of the profound impact that will have on the future of basically learning anything.
This is really just amazing, Edo. So tell us how this works in terms of usage and the pricing. How does it all come together?
When you think about companions as the equivalent of people that you can collaborate and work with, experts in any field, effectively think of them as working for less than $1 an hour. And you can effectively work with any expert in any domain, talk to them. They can also create artifacts for you. Increasingly, they're creating more and more things as opposed to just talking to them. And they're accessible to you at this entry level of $19. And if you purchase an annual subscription, we're also uh, giving you as a promotion a hardware device that we just announced called the Napster View. This is a cutting edge AI device. You might have heard of other attempts at AI devices. We think this one is really going to make a big change in people's lives. It's a beautiful device that snaps onto the top of your laptop, similar to a webcam, and it allows you to always have these companions available. This display is a light field display. It's actually a 3D display. So you'll be seeing them in 3D, like they're popping out of the screen without the need for any glasses, similar to Google Beam, which costs $25,000. You'll be able to talk to any of these experts. They will be able to see your screen and guide you, whether it's a graphic designer helping you in Photoshop, an accountant helping you in Excel, a creative writer helping you formulate a script for a YouTube video you're making or a podcast. The opportunities are endless. And we were also allowing individuals to publish a version of themselves as a companion. And what that means is you, for example, can take all of the podcasts that you've published, put them into your knowledge base, and people can talk to you and benefit from all of that work that you've done over the years and have a really informed conversation with you. If you're available live, they can also do a live video call with you in 3D on this display. And unlike what you're seeing now, if you're looking in my video, you see that I'm not really looking at the camera. If I was to use this device and it's mounted right on top of my screen, I would retain eye contact like you're seeing now. And I will be having a conversation with you. You would be seeing me in 3D. I would be seeing you in 3D. And if you're not around, I can talk to your digital companion. And when you come back to your computer, you'll get a summary of the conversation we had. So we really think this is the future of how AI intersects with communication, productivity, and human empowerment. It's really an incredible, incredible device. It's also beautifully handcrafted out of aluminum. It looks similar to your existing Mac device. Beautiful space gray. This is the first version, so it was thicker. The version that we're shipping is paper thin. It's really an incredible device, and I can't wait to put this in people's hands and literally give it away for free if you subscribe for the annual account. If you wish to purchase it, it's $199.
So when will that arrive?
We're starting to ship in August.
That's amazing, and basically it's a no-brainer if people are really interested in this because it almost is equivalent or just through the cost of the service for a year, right?
Exactly. For a service for a year, which is discounted from the monthly, you also get something that's already worth $200.
So tell us more about the advantages that you feel you have in this space because, as you said, this is exploding and all of the big names are involved from Microsoft and Google and Apple. Everyone wants to own a big chunk of this. So how does Napster uh, become the go-to?
I think it comes back to the beginning of the conversation we had about the past of Napster, what Napster represents in the zeitgeist as a challenger brand that is on the side of the consumer, of the user. We go to great pains, and our CEO, John Akunto, is really focused on this future where the end users own their data, whether it's an individual or a business. Our entire platform is built on, and predicated on the notion that you own your data, you own your user or your audience. We will never disintermediate between you. You will always have knowledge of who they are, and you will be able to port them elsewhere if you wish. So that's one foundational aspect, similar to Napster in its original manifestation that was on the side of the user, first and foremost. We are also building a structure in the era of AI that's on the side of the customer, the user, the company. And that's foundationally important that people understand what our North Star is as it relates to them owning their audience and owning their future. From a product and platform perspective, I think we have the benefit of being in a position where we actually are in this multimodal space, I would say a couple of years ahead of the rest of the pack. And that's because we have been working very meticulously for the last few years on the engineering that goes into making the cost basis of delivering this affordable. There's a handful of amazing companies in this video avatar AI space, and they really focus on obfuscating the need to produce a video by using AI. And that through that lens, it's perceived as affordable. But if you were to try to use that for live conversations, it's actually cheaper to hire real people. It's that expensive per hour. So the idea of being able to deliver this fidelity of experience and everything that's to come for less than $1 an hour is about, I don't know, 30 times cheaper than the next competitor. And that's really preventing that potential from exploding onto the scene. And we've solved that problem. So we basically have the ability to deliver this incredible service with this amazing hardware for basically under $20 a month, which is just remarkable relative to everything else. Like if VO3, for example, which is unbelievable, blows my mind, is I think like 50 cents a second, right? So if you do the math, you can see how cost inhibitive this frontier is. And we've figured out a way to deliver it to everyone.
And the device, the Napster View, is that going to be available only on the Mac platform, or tell us what to
Initially, it's only
expect?
on the Mac, correct?
But there will be Windows support in the future, you hope?
We're not announcing that yet.
Okay. So tell us about the long-term vision here for Napster AI.
I think the world we're trying to enable is there's a lot of I think warranted anxiety around how AI will affect us, disrupt us, displace us. The world that we're aspiring to is a world in which every one of us is empowered with this capability so that they can achieve more. And in the context of our economics, achieve more with much less. And that's really important to us. It's really important to us that those individuals also control their destiny, their data. and we don't intermediate them from their audiences. And we think that creating this environment that is part science and part art, and with a very much a focus on the humanity of it, is really where we should go, as opposed to a million chatbots that get people fired. So that's really where we're going. And this is just the beginning of the journey. The stuff we have in R&D and development makes this look like a horse and buggy situation. There's just unbelievable stuff coming. And as you know, this field continues to accelerate. And we've created a culture that really benefits not just from the IP we create, but sits on top of some of these amazing multi-billion dollar investments through our strategic partnerships with Microsoft and with Google to really leverage the cutting edge of what they're delivering and allow these companions to use it in a way that gives it a human interface. So I think the essence is this human first approach for the interface, for the ownership of your data and audience. That's the essence of what we're trying to build in Napster.
I guess a lot of people still have questions about the reliability of the information that they're getting from an AI agent or any AI application, and where is it coming from, and how do you deal with those questions?
So the agents that we built, the companions, are capable of having grounding, meaning that the content that they're answering based of is something that you can supply as an end user. So if you were to create a companion, you can effectively load it up, let's say in your example, with all of the podcasts and articles and things that you've written. And if it doesn't have an answer within the constraints of that information, it will basically say that it doesn't have an answer or try to bridge to something it can talk about. You can also create and support an FAQ as you author these companions that you can consistently cultivate, so that when people ask specific questions, not word for word, but from a meaning perspective, it's like training another person to do the job when you effectively train and support these companions. And everything does not require any technical skills. It's literally drag and drop the files, write an FAQ. You can also create rules for deflection. Let's say you don't want your companion to talk about politics. You can just put that in, and then they will deflect when people try to talk to them about politics. So a big effort has gone into this whole domain of grounding, responsible AI. We also work with the top tier of Microsoft on this front, which is really, I think, the most progressive organization in protecting the responsible AI principles. And our model in itself also has a lot of guardrails in it. Our system has a lot of guardrails in it, including the ones that are put in place by our partners, like an OpenAI or Google Gemini. So it's like a multiple level of systems that are meant to support responsible AI and also grounding and prevention of hallucination, which at the dawn of this era of ChatGPT was a massive, massive issue. And I think we're all seeing that when we add tools to these agents where they can effectively do web searches in parallel to talking to you and ground stuff and give you citations, that world is kind of becoming less and less of a problem. And that's where we are right now.
When it comes to issues like asking for medical advice, things along those lines, what can people expect?
I think not dissimilar to how we sought medical advice on Google, which of course we all did. When you talk to an agentic system like ours about seeking medical advice, it will provide you with potential input, which is not a credentialed input. It's meant for educational purposes only, and a set of citations of where the information came from. So you can go and qualify yourself the validity and your sense of comfort with that guidance. And this, again, similar to search. Now we're moving to the era of AI. Think of it as an accelerated version of the search that really summarizes the content for you and presents it to you in a way that's much, much faster. And we've seen a lot of examples where you can actually get to the answer to your question in a tiny fraction of the time it would have taken you if you were to go into this kind of print era web and do a search and click on links. And I'm sure most of your listeners have already had that experience with ChatGPT. The difference here is that it's actually much more convenient and faster than a ChatGPT environment for many reasons. One of which is that when you have a persona in front of you that emanates the what you expect, your whole cognitive state is different. Like you're talking to that persona, that expert in a way that really gets to the answer much faster. And we actually have some empirical research we're about to publish where we've compared side by side and illustrated that our large persona model, which is our proprietary technology that allows us to kind of simulate personalities, really has an impact on the outcomes and the engagement and the pleasure, the delight of interacting with these agents.
Interesting. So, how do people use this? Is it strictly on a computer right now, or can they use their mobile devices?
So currently, if you go to companion.napster.ai, you can start using the service for free. And you can do that on your phone or on any device. And we're about to launch the Napster Companion app. It'll be on both iOS and macOS initially, and we'll be announcing plans for other platforms in the future. And the desktop version of it has the benefit of interacting with the Napster view in the ways that I've shared with you earlier. So it creates this magical, I think, future state of what it looks like to do things on your computer in the future where AI is kind of with you as a companion.
Terrific. Well, congratulations on what you and the team are doing there. Again, it's companion.napster.ai. Edo Segal, thank you for spending time with us.
Such a pleasure, Fred. Thank you so much.